Yeah, I'm Hock, Edgar Heap of Birds. I have a retrospective exhibit, over 100 works at the Oklahoma Contemporary here in Oklahoma City. I haven't had a show like that in my career, so it's a real special opportunity. Honor Song is the title, you know, and it has kind of two different roads, two paths. I mean, one is that I'm being honored, I guess, to have this major exhibit. It'll honor my art process, you know, but the content of what I've been working on, which defines itself, it testifies for itself over the last 30 years, is to honor the other citizens. So I've been, you know, very much involved with indigenous populations across the planet, and I've always set out to honor their wishes, their histories, and include them in the process, you know, to collaborate with me. So the Honor Song is also about honoring the Indigenous, you know, and you'll see it all the time. Even the youth, even children. You know, I work with children a lot, even with elders. So we're gonna have part of the exhibit, my daughter will even be involved. She's 15, she's Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Navajo. So she's actually helping select work to put into the show. So it's about honoring everybody's involvement along the path of my career.
All right, well, good evening. How's everybody doing? Awesome. It's a little cold outside, so first and foremost, thank you all for being here. I will note we have a few seats up front, and the good news is I don't bite, at least hard. So please, fill the seats here. Well, good evening and welcome to the opening of Honor Song. This is a very exciting moment for Oklahoma Contemporary, our city, our state, and thank you, Edgar, for making it possible. So we're just so excited. We are honored to present this landmark retrospective of Edgar's work here at Oklahoma Contemporary that traces 4 decades of his artistic practice. Tonight, we gather not only to celebrate Edgar's profound contributions to contemporary art, but also to acknowledge his deep impact on Indigenous representation, activism, storytelling through art. As I noted earlier, this exhibition is a retrospective, and it's his first retrospective exhibition, and his first retrospective exhibition here in the state of Oklahoma, and I believe his first major exhibition in Oklahoma in a long, long time. So we're really excited about that. Throughout our campus, you will find a vast body of his work on display, from his signature text-based prints and paintings to sculptures, glassworks, and public art interventions, which are on the exterior of our campus, a little chilly, but worth checking out, if not later this evening on a warmer day throughout the summer months. Before we get started, I want to express my gratitude to a few people who really made this show possible. First and foremost, I want to extend thanks to the National Endowment for the Arts, the Getty Foundation through the Paper Project Initiative, and the Henry Luce Foundation for their critical support of this show. Thank you all so much. So I'd also like to extend our many thanks to so many of our supporters who are in this room and here in our community who made this possible. Those include Allied Arts, ArtDesk Magazine, Annie Bohannon, Automobile Alley, the Chickasaw Nation, Teresa L. Cooper, the E.L. and Thelma Gaylord Foundation, Debbie and Rick Hochschild, John and Janet Hudson, the Inasmuch Foundation, the Kennedy family, the Kirkpatrick Family Fund, Joan McGuire, Mercedes-Benz of Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma Arts Council, the Oklahoma City Community Foundation, Oklahoma Humanities, George Records, Cindy and Lance Ruffle, Sam B. Smith, SSM Health St. Anthony, and Visit Oklahoma City. Thank you so much for your support. So in a way, you know, I'm extending many thanks, which is very much in the spirit of the exhibition's name, Honor Song tonight. And there's 2 people I also want to recognize who have had profound contributions to making this exhibition possible. Ana Victoria Pickett, who many of you know, and Pablo Barrera. Thank you all so much for your hard work as co-curators. And I know you all are in the crowd here on the mezzanine and throughout the building tonight, but Oklahoma Contemporary staff, thank you, thank you, thank you. You all come in every day and make our work possible. And simply put, I couldn't do it, We couldn't do it without you. So thank you all so much. So what's next? After this evening, I hope you'll join us on May 10th for the opening of News for Oklahoma Autumn, a new site-specific public art installation by Edgar Heap of Birds that'll be in Campbell Art Park, which sits just to the west of the Arts Center here. This will be a dynamic iteration of Edgar's popular new series paintings and really further expand his artistic legacy, not only around the world, but here in our community. So May 10th, please join us for that opening, and hopefully it'll be a little warmer that day. Before I introduce Sunrise Tipicani, the facilitator of this evening's ArtDesk conversation, I want to introduce somebody who's been a great supporter not only of the arts here in Oklahoma City, but Indigenous culture here in our community. With that, I want to introduce Mayor Holt, who's going to share some special news with us tonight.
Hello, Edgar. Well, you know, especially ever since the opening of First Americans Museum a few years ago, I've really felt that Oklahoma City has an opportunity to be a national and even international capital for Native and Indigenous people. And tonight really feels like one of those nights where that aspiration is being realized, because not only do we have this spectacular exhibition, thank you, Edgar, and thank you, Oklahoma Contemporary, but I am going to leave here to go help open a $400 million Chickasaw Nation development just a few miles from here. So, you know, I think as Edgar's work certainly, the philosophy that Edgar's work certainly stands for, the idea that Native people are not in the past, they are in the present, is certainly reflected tonight, and I hope every day in Oklahoma City. Speaking of days, I'd like to read something for you. Whereas Edgar Heap of Birds is a renowned artist, educator, advocate, and citizen of the Cheyenne and Arapaho Nation, whose work has profoundly shaped contemporary art and Native American cultural expression. And whereas Heap of Birds' creations, spanning public installations, printmaking, painting, and teaching, amplify the voices and experiences of Indigenous peoples, fostering greater understanding, equity, and respect among diverse communities. And whereas Heap of Birds has earned international acclaim with his work showcased in prestigious venues around the world. And whereas Heap of Birds has provided mentorship to countless artists, students, and cultural leaders, further cementing his role as a vital force in the global art world. And whereas Edgar Heap of Birds has deep ties to Oklahoma City, continually uplifting local communities through his creative endeavors, public engagements, and commitment to fostering dialogue and reflection on Indigenous history. And whereas February 20th, 2025 marks the opening of Hockey AV, Edgar Heap of Birds Honor Song at Oklahoma Contemporary Art Center, the first major retrospective in Edgar Heap of Birds' home state, honoring his remarkable achievements, contributions to the cultural enrichment of Oklahoma City, and steadfast dedication to the power of art as a tool for positive change. Now, therefore, I, David Holt, Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, do hereby proclaim today, Thursday, February 20th, as Edgar Heap of Birds Day in Oklahoma City. Yeah. And I want to add, you know, it's nearly 7 p.m., so if you want to tell people tomorrow's your day also, you have my total permission to do so. But in the meantime, happy Edgar Heap of Birds Day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that very special honor, and congratulations, Edgar. I told you I had a little special something planned for tonight, and you know, it's not every day you get to get your own day, so yeah. We are also incredibly fortunate to have strong community partners who recognize not only the value of our work here at Oklahoma Contemporary, but the artists who help make our work possible. And Edgar Heap of Birds, for those of you that don't know, is a Thunder super fan. I know there's a lot that claim that title here in Oklahoma City, but he really is it. So Edgar, our friends at the Thunder want to present you a little special something as well. And Anna Vittoria is bringing that up currently. Please come up, Edgar, and you can receive these gifts. And then,
It's tribal chairman size.
well, and in addition to that, we here at Oklahoma Contemporary also have a special gift for you tonight, Edgar, as a token of our appreciation for all the work you've done, and Pablo has that to my right here. Thank you so much for working with us and allowing us to be a part of this important moment for your career. Thank you. All right, now to the program. It is with great honor that I introduce to you Sunrise Tipicani, who is going to be leading our discussion tonight with Edgar Heap of Birds. Sunrise, this light's really bright, so I know you're out here, but feel free to come up as I read your bio. There you are. Hello, Sunrise. Welcome. With over 20 years' experience in film and television production, Sunrise has collaborated with renowned directors such as Martin Scorsese, David Lowery, and Sterling Harjo. His work spans fiction and documentary storytelling with a focus on indigenous narratives, and his work has also been showcased at institutions and festivals around the world, including the Heard Museum and the National Museum of the American Indian. Beyond filmmaking, Sunrise is an advocate for elevating indigenous voices in cinema. He has curated and programmed films for numerous, notably, big news, he's a former student of Edgar Heap of Birds, right? So, and then of course, when he's not making films and doing all those things, he is also the director of programming at Dead Center Film Festival, which I will note will also be hosted this June here at Oklahoma Contemporary Arts Center. So with all that being said, it's with a great honor that I introduce to you Sunrise Tipicani, who's going to lead our conversation today. Sunrise.
Thank you, Trent. Maduwika and Yacht I am Sunrise Tipicani, otherwise also known as Plain Sunrise Tipicani. I am of the fluted rock from the Navajo Nation, but I was born to the Quahada tribe here in Oklahoma. So I want to thank everyone from those two family lines and from those nations, and I appreciate this honor of being here this evening. It's a true honor. So I'm honored to introduce Edgar, and then we will talk. So Hockey Ivy, Edgar Heap of Birds, is a multidisciplinary artist and citizen of the Cheyenne and Arapaho Nation, for which he serves as headsman of the Elk Scraper Warrior Society, instructing ceremony on tribal lands near Gary, Oklahoma. He received his BFA from the University of Kansas, undertook graduate studies in painting at the Royal College of Art in London, and received an MFA from Tyler School of Art, Temple University. Also one of my alumni, so glad to have a fellow owl here. Heap of Birds has participated in over 200 national and international exhibitions since the early 1980s, and his works are part of museum collections worldwide. He has been the recipient of numerous honors and awards, including the American Academy of Arts and Letters Award in 2024, and induction as a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2020. From 1988 to 2018, Heap of Birds was a professor at the University of Oklahoma and served as a visiting lecturer in over 14 countries, having been invited to teach at institutions ranging from Yale to Michaelis School of Fine Arts, University of Cape Town, South Africa. Heap of Birds has been awarded honorary Doctor of Fine Arts and letters degrees by multiple institutions, including the Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston, the Emily Carr University of Art and Design in Vancouver, and California Institute of Arts in Valencia. He, of course, continues to live and work and mentor many, including me, here in Oklahoma. Please welcome to the stage Edgar Heap of Birds. Thank you. So we can start many places. This is a tremendous amount of work. Just the amount of pieces that are together in one space is really tremendous. Not just the fact that we're looking at some amazing work in one place of someone that should go as recognized as he is at this moment, but just the matter of work that relates to indigeneity that just has such a it really moves me. It just moves me that you've been able to recognize our people, and that you're getting such recognition here at a time where I think we really need it. And it's obviously very moving to me, but it just, it's incredible to see someone's work that has such an influence and perception of our people and is able to stand up for it. And everybody here is able to recognize that, and I just think that's really incredible. So I didn't mean to start with tears. No. But it is very moving.
I had the tears here when they sang.
Yes, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, me too. But we could go anywhere. But I want to start with oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I want to start with just this concept of nuff. I wasn't introduced to the idea of nuff because I am not Cheyenne, but my thoughts were it was Cheyenne. I want to confirm that is. But what is nuff?
Well, it goes back to just the number 4. I mean, it's they start out with 4 important songs, and it deals also with kind of centering yourself in the universe with the passage of the sun and the extreme winter solstice, summer solstice, sunrise, sunset. So we're always acknowledging that passage, to be kind of humble on the planet. You got to realize where you are on the planet and that you're just you're riding this big circle. So anyway, the 4 is there. There's 4 songs, and 4 times, 16 times. All these numbers, 4 principal chiefs. There's 4 major warrior societies. They sang those society songs for everybody tonight, and I'm leader of the Elk Scraper Warrior Society, and there's Bowstring, Dog Soldier, Kit Fox. So anyway, the number keeps coming back as sort of a balance.
When did you learn about this number?
When I came back to live in Oklahoma, I was in Europe, and then I was on the East Coast, and I came home. Had to come home and get some guidance. I was kind of lost, and I couldn't go to the art world. It didn't help me. There's nowhere to go. Art world's nowhere to go. So I was in the art world. I was showing in Soho, but I actually took one of the pieces off the wall that's in the show here, and it was shown at MoMA recently, but initially it was shown in Tribeca. I took it off the wall, put it in my Volkswagen bus, and drove it to Oklahoma. And they said, "We'll never hear from you again. Oklahoma's not good for you. Don't go to Oklahoma. There's nothing there. There's nothing in Oklahoma." And so I've been here ever since. Didn't work out very well. Didn't work out.
Can I ask who was teaching about 4 here when you came back? Is there anybody specific or anything you were seeing in the space, the community?
Well, I think, the ceremonial life, that's what was so touching about the gentlemen that sang for us. They're all my brothers, in the practice. And so what they told me was so moving. And there was that, to learn and to kind of embody that. It took like 20 years to learn that, but and I worked really hard at that, paid a lot of dues, got real thirsty many times. But, I would have to say the land and the heat and the cold and the rain taught me what I needed to know. Living out there on the canyon west of Gary.
Yeah, but it sounds like you were paying attention and it paid off.
Yeah.
So the example on the slide is one of the works. Oh, yeah. There's a couple of variations. The autumn one, I think we've seen, or I see a lot. But I'm curious about how the number might play into something like this.
Well,
painting.
I make 4 paintings every time I go out. I mean, and I've done that for decades. So the big paintings that are in the gallery, the 9-foot paintings, there's always 4 of them, and I work on them all at the same time. This painting here on the wall, there's 4 of those, and I paint them all at the same time. And so I've always done that, and it sort of like reiterates that behavior, that action of the 4. Then I finish the 4, start another 4. And I'm doing that with torn paper collages now, too. So I'm making 4. I finished those. I'm showing them in New York on March 12th, down on Rivington on Bowery in a gallery. They were shipped off. They're there now. And so I'm showing those new pieces I made. And I'm making new work in Arizona. My wife is from Arizona, so we go back home to her country, where you're from, too, and spend time in Arizona, and I work when I'm there. So I'll be making 4 new pieces there too.
Yeah, constant, it sounds like.
Yeah, should be. If you're an artist, should be.
Yeah, So then, what are you doing when you're like physically, in terms of the medium on something like this?
Well, the new work I'm real excited about are on wood platforms, and I've been painting on wood for maybe like 6 or 8 years, and I've been traveling. Often it's to Hawaii or the Caribbean, and I sort of joke that we're just more mammals in the ocean. Like my family, we used to snorkel together a lot, and could be in the Caribbean, could be in Hawaii, could be further away in Bali or Thailand or somewhere. But I have that kind of history of being in the world, in the ocean, and so I would be painting also in the mornings before we took trips, and I'd be painting those little paintings on wood, whether it's in Hawaii or elsewhere. And then recently I shifted over. I was getting kind of too mannered, and that's something artists have to fight against, is controlling it too well. To where it's not interesting anymore. And so how do you make that movement? And so I decided just to tear paper instead of paint shapes. And so I got a bunch of paper and tore it up and made shapes and glued it down and found a way to make it work a little bit better. I was pretty crude in the beginning part of it. And I was in Hawaii too. There were not a lot of art supply stores in Kona, but my former student, Michael Maxwell, who's here tonight, he helped me long distance because he does a lot of that in his work. He does a lot of collage, assemblage. So I just deferred to him on how to handle it, and so he gave me some tips, and I got it to work in Hawaii, and then I came back and bought better supplies. So I'm doing that now, and when I'm traveling, I'll be able to make new work and bring it back, and you feel better. You're not just a gold brick on holiday. You're actually going to make some work, and I know every day. I don't know. Let's make some work. Get something done. And I feel better about myself when I can make something.
Yeah, that makes sense. and the work. I mean, specifically the word work. You really take that seriously, and that I appreciate.
And I think too. We mentioned this earlier today with some of the media people, but I want to just reiterate it. Is that they said, "How do you feel about your show here?" And it's like, it's just a lot of work. I mean, it works up, and there we are. It's not new to me. I mean, you're working every day, you're making a lot of things, and you try to do great things all the time. But the point is that you're not working for anybody. We don't make nothing for anybody. No matter who you are. I don't care who you are, how rich you are, who you are. I don't care. It don't carry any currency here. We're making work about what we want to make art about our own being, our own spirit. That's what we do. That's what good artists do. They always have. And no one wanted to buy my work before. you know, so I have a lot of it left over. And that was for decades, and now it's all gone. It's not here anymore. But my daughter has a big college fund, you know, a huge college fund. So anyway, you know, the motivation is yourself. So that's what I say. I'm just spitting that out for would-be artists here, or so-called artists, or young artists, that you want to work on your own spirit, you know, and investigate things with your practice. That's what I hope we're all doing.
Yeah. It's also making me think about this number again, the fact that you're kind of doing it 4 times probably, right? There's every time you're doing something, there's quadruplet kit of that work. That is a important number. I'm curious if there's other numbers that are important, do you think?
Not so much. I guess you can kind of extrapolate that into 16 is very important. You know, I've got a jersey, a Heap of Birds jersey. I made myself. And like someone said, hey, number 16. And that's my number, so. And you see me at the Thunder game, I'll be number 16, you know. Might say many magpies on the back, but so anyway, that number 16 is really important because of the songs, you know, and you live those songs so many decades. It's so important to be in those songs, and sometimes I guess I would just disclose that in that way of living. And people are here. I know there's some people here that are still here that I'm talking about that have done this, and so when they get to 16, you might get to rest. You'd like to get to 16. You might get to sit down maybe, and it's 104 degrees outside with no water. You know, that's a good number. That's a good number. So anyway, there's that kind of remembrance of what you went through and your sacrifice and what you're contributing. You know.
Yeah. So with enough, we've got one that's Oklahoma Autumn. There's very clearly like an indication of a space and a time. I'm curious just about that. My assumption, now this is just me as a viewer coming to this and knowing Oklahoma in the autumn, is it looks like colors that I see here.
Yeah, and before, as you may have seen in the galleries, I have a lot of blue paintings. And again, I've been in the water a lot, in the water world, and the blues are there, you know, and also renewal. You know, the color of blue is the renewal color. But for these autumn paintings, I decided to just move back toward the red rock in terms of my remembrance, and made four paintings that were in the red kind of color group. And I think, and things get collected. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm anti-business or something, you know, things leave, and there's 2 left out of the 4, you know, and in one particular, in the blue paintings, there's 1 left. There were 4, you know, so you know, there's still remaining a few of them, you know, but with these autumn ones, there's 2, and they'll become the basketball courts here in town.
Right, that's exciting. Yeah. Yeah, the blue. Yeah, the water is very significant. You're talking about a time period here. It's obvious that you're taking from what's here, and it's. I'm curious if that's the right word. If taking is the right word.
Or maybe remembering, or I guess in a sense, what's happened is I lived on, you know, the allotment land, my mother's, her grandma's land, you know, and there was 500 acres west of Gary, about 5 miles west, maybe a couple miles south, overlooking the South Canadian River. And I lived there for a decade, you know, and for some of that time, I have to just say that there was no running water, there was no road, there was no bathroom, there was no job. It was not, I had an MFA from Tyler, but I didn't have any. I had a car with a broomstick holding up the hood, you know. But it's all good though. It's all good. But anyway, you know, that time is deep in my mind. And I started having children, and Then of course we had to go to schools, and you got to kind of upgrade your lifestyle. You can't live in a bucket all day long. You got to maybe have a bathtub or something. But so that changed our lifestyle. But so I'm just getting to the point that the paintings now, I make them all the time, even the collages, but they go back to that headspace of living on that land, and now it's become a language, a visual language that whole life. And now, I'm fortunate to have a place, in Oklahoma City that's on a lake, and I can walk outside and sit outside any time of the day or night, and I'm outside, and I got to be close to the outside. I got to get outside without cars and junk, So I'm able to do that where I live today. So rather than travel somewhere, it's out the door,
Yeah, I hear you talking about all this, and you're kind of doing the work of just cultural revitalization and connection. And all the things you're talking about are things I always hear from my own community and my own elders to, pay attention and connect specifically with the land, not just the land, and you're talking about this cycle, this relationship, and it's coming out of you. You're sort of a conduit, and you're paying attention, and it seems like it's cultivating the spirit from these elements. It feels like that's.
And it's so important to make your contribution to the elements, and even in your own tribal world. We've got the governor here. I don't know if he's still here. Is Reggie still here? He left already. He's the governor. He can leave. But anyway, he was here. And so other tribal leaders are here, and ceremonial leaders are here, and so we really give back to the community, and I really caution any young Native artist in here, that someday if you don't give back to your community, then you won't have any subject matter, because today people think Native life is subject matter. Mm-hmm. It's an image of something. You can paint and you can sell it or you can talk about it. But if you don't go back and transmit it and become a steward of it, then you're not going to have no picture to make anymore. See? So someone's got to be caring for that culture, not just make an image of it. And up to this time, there's been a lot of image making and not a lot of stewardship. And if you're worried about, well, they won't accept me, or I'm part blood, I'm not full blood, all that. No, that's not really true. They need help. People need help, and they welcome you, to go there and help them with the continuum. And that's why we live in Oklahoma. It's a beautiful place to live, but the people are here, the community's here, and they need help, and so you got to be there to pitch in. That's how we got where we are. Everyone else, pitched in along all the other hundreds of years, thousands of years, and so anyway, I think as an artist, there's a little bit of a fallacy where you end up making a picture about it, and not getting in there and becoming, well, a medicine person or a leader, or go guide it.
Yeah, definitely. And you were definitely, again, talking about work that I think is really important. We maybe don't think of that as work sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes we do, maybe in the wrong way, but it is work. So I want to shift forward in terms of the slides. There's some important aspect of, we can go forward to just this idea of word. Word is really important in your work. I think you're very careful, it seems like. If we go to the next slide, there's this amazing piece. It always moves me. I know that Jane Myers wants this piece, if anybody knows Jane Myers. But this is amazing because it's also got kind of the shapes that we see in the NUFs. Yeah. They're a little bit different. But also there's a lot of words. And throughout most of your work, there's lots of words, if they're not looking like the NUFs. Why are there so many words?
I feel what started out as notations. I'm not really a figurative painter. I don't paint, like bodies and animals and things or landscape. So I had to find a way to articulate ideas that were more concrete. So I made notes about them, I put them on the wall, and it became, a way to deliver a message, to the viewer. But also, I feel like the language can be hard to deflect. And sometimes my words are difficult words. And so when you have difficult messages, people would rather not pay attention to them. They rather have a happy day. And if you want to talk about a massacre, or you want to talk about lung cancer and Navajo uranium miners, all that kind of thing, it's like, that's not a happy day. So people want to divert that, get away from that. And that's why we don't know much about Native culture, because it's been diverted, the history. And so I find that if you read, then it's too late. You've already ingested it. If you can read, everyone can pretty much read. I keep it pretty simple, I don't write big paragraphs. It's simple. So if you can read, well, then you already have it. What you do with it's up to you, but you've already kind of engaged it, and so I continue to make those, usually when they're more, direct statements, themes that are very important to me that need to be articulated, like things about ICE, things about the immigration disaster going on right now around all of us. I made a piece about that 4 years ago, and it's still appropriate, So I had to be pretty, explicit about that. And then some museums looked at it and said, well, we can't show stuff about ICE, like getting rid of ICE. That's anti-government or whatever, But anyway, just having that explicit tactic is important.
Where are these words coming from? How do they?
Well, they come from research. Some of them do. I do a lot of research about particular ideas I have or emotions I have. I did a big piece about Standing Rock. And I didn't go to Standing Rock, but I did a lot of research about Standing Rock and what happened to people there, all the different issues around Standing Rock, and made a piece about it. It's called Standing Rock Changes the World. And it was so important, to step forward and make a piece about that incredible movement that occurred. Now it's gone in a way, it shifted away, but the work remains, and there's a museum director here today. Where is Eric at? Eric's right here. Eric collected that piece. It's in Pittsburgh. So it's at Pittsburgh, the Carnegie Museum, and it's also at LACMA in LA. So they own it jointly. So they can exhibit it. They're the stewards of that history. And so there we are. We got a place to be, to go, and I have a piece here, and some Cheyenne and Arapaho people are here tonight. Hopefully they're still here. But I did a piece about all my family members. I did a lot of research in the archives and found, 50 or 60 names of tribal members that I'm related to back a couple hundred years ago. And I just made a list of all those people. And so I made a big 48-piece print installation about that. And that's for younger CNA people. If they want to go see all these names, they don't have to go do the research. It's already listed out there. And maybe it'll be collected by a museum and shared and exhibited or put in a book. I'm in a lot of books. I'm studied, as an artist, and so those kind of things are useful for the new generation.
So you're already describing that some of these words are coming from family. I mean, and this, it seems like there's family in here.
Yeah, it is.
Right? I'm curious if you have to communicate with family members, if they're included somehow. Is that
well, yeah, we have a piece. We did a big portfolio project here, special, with the Getty support, from Los Angeles, and we made 10 portfolios of 8 prints apiece, and they're all chronicles of the Native people that lived in Oklahoma that left to go work in aircraft factories in Kansas, at Wichita, Kansas, and so my father and mother were 2 of those people. And there's many, I would say all 40 tribes went up to Wichita. Somebody from those tribes to go work in the aircraft, and they all failed because no one lives up there anymore. Everyone came back home, which is legit. I mean, home is where you should be, where I want to be. They tried to assimilate, but it wasn't a good experiment. But anyway, I talked to my mother about beach aircraft. I talked to my brothers about other tribal members they grew up with in Wichita. What tribe were they from? What was their name? So it's just research, kind of word of mouth research, and including people that you can and learn about them. I mean, and it needs more, but hopefully, my work, sometimes it's described as a puncture. So I puncture history. I puncture the modern world, and then you can get in there and do more work. And once you make the hole, So I'm there to make the first hole, and then it opens up, and other people can research it, write about it, make art about it, but we need to make that first kind of, launch into it. And so it takes that kind of, collaboration with your family too.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I mean, just my own family, I'm constantly trying to glean all the names. My parents are really good about knowing all the family names in the area, and beyond the ones that we're connected to. They just know so much about all these names, and that's a lot of work if we don't already know those names. And again, I feel like that's really important, and it feels like you're doing a lot of work to get these names out, and names that should be just common like any other name that we see.
And one point too is certainly for women, you got to do more. We got to do more to allow the women's names, because the whole surname thing that the Anglos brought gets rid of all the women and the men. Why is that? Who's making that law? And so a lot of the names aren't here anymore, but the people are. But we don't see them transmitted. So you got to research and dig in there and find the truth and bring it forward and share it. And maybe like my daughter has my grandma's name. And so we need to, she's going to carry that name, and it's so important, but it's not through the Anglo way of doing this,
Yeah, it's very important. We're talking about the importance of a lot of words. I'm curious if there's any words that are excluded. Is there any point where you're thinking I shouldn't include something, or that doesn't belong, or?
Well, there's certain, I guess, ceremonial aspects that I don't really share or disclose, in a very explicit way, or I can disguise it a little bit, but some of that, I don't really make the work about that.
Okay. Have you learned anything about languages? Just dealing with words, something that is an epiphany to you?
Well, sure, all the time. I did a piece in Australia for the Olympic Art Festival, for the Sydney Olympics, and I did a big mural for the Olympics, and I was fascinated by the Aboriginal urban life, and they have their own vernacular, like street vernacular, and if somebody says, "Is it real?" or "Did that really happen?" they just say, "True." They would just say "true," And so I wrote "true" up on the wall. I wrote some Cheyenne words, and I wrote "they're true." But if you're in Australia, it has a different meaning. It's not just was it so, but it's this whole kind of this way of living that they have. And it's much like Native. They said, "How do you like living in Australia? How do you like being with Aboriginal people?" I said, "It's like being home in Oklahoma, because everyone lives in the living room. There's like 4 beds in the living room. Like, there's no couch or TV. Like, everyone's living, they're drinking, the old man's drinking tea, we're listening to our stories." Like, that's home, man. That's home. So I got along very well in Australia.
I'm curious now that you're talking about this. It's not on my notes, but in these homes, I've never been down there. I've always wanted to go down there. Is there also what's going on with the floor? Is there carpet? Is there dirt? Is there what's going on?
Well, one day I was out in the bush by this place falsely called Ayers Rock, but it's really Uluru, and it's that big red rock everyone's seen in the pictures. And I was with people in a big 4-wheel drive, and we were visiting artists that day, and we went to a place where there was a little shade tree, and then there was a kind of a flatbed welding truck, just the bed, not the truck, just the bed, I mean the metal thing. And then there was an artist with a can and some fire and a dog, and that was it. That was home, And that artist was making these beautiful paintings, and they were being traded back to the trading post and sold, and she got her food, and we were helping her, bringing them to town. I've done the same in Africa. I've been in Zimbabwe, and same kind of. So in some ways, I mean, it's kind of silly to say, but we're kind of like millionaires over here, like on our reservation compared to a lot of things happening, man, in Australia. And Australia doesn't even have topsoil. I mean, you don't even have topsoil to have a garden in Australia. So it's pretty rough.
Before we move on to another thing, I'm just curious, because you deal with language so much, especially like Cheyenne. Cheyenne's in a lot of your work. Obviously Cheyenne names, but also Cheyenne words. I'm curious if you think and conceive and dream in Cheyenne.
I don't think so. I think it's more English. I think it is. The content could be tribal, but I feel like I'm articulating. But I've worked so much, in my poetics. So I can wake up in the middle of the night and write 3 words down on a notepad or something, and I collect those words all the time. But I think it's more in English.
Yeah. Okay. You're also revealing that there's a lot of lists, right? They're not in your head. You just talked about writing them down. How do those lists appear to you, or how they?
Well, what I do is that I have my phone. It's a Samsung Note phone. Note 8, I don't know. I'm not big on the names, but anyway, I can write in it. I got a little pencil thing, and I write words in the phone, and I can do it anywhere in the world. I got power, I write in there. I used to have little notepads, but now I just have my phone, and then I go back home or studio, and I like to use vellum paper, like a nice heavy board and markers, and then I transcribe my words onto vellum, and then I hang them on the wall for like weeks at a time, and then later I probably get an opportunity to go to the print studio, and I start honing my language, and I make newsprint drawings with the words on the newsprint. And they're full scale to make a big, at least 48-piece prints that you see in the galleries. And then I'll go, it used to be Santa Fe a lot, sometimes Hawaii, now probably New York, in a new shop I'm gonna use there. And then I go to work and make my prints, and then come back to the studio, and they're in stacks, and then I make the matrix you see, the grid, in my studio here in Oklahoma City. And then once I make it, it's solid, it doesn't ever change. And then it goes to a museum or a gallery, and gets shared that way. So it comes from that first little moment in the phone or like on a napkin or wherever you write, but you gotta log it in and capture that. You're gonna forget if you don't capture it. You gotta write it down, whatever you got.
Yeah, when it's coming.
Yeah.
Next slide should be about, we're here in public art. So this stuff is out in the world. This is walking down the street, you see it. If you walk outside, you'll see it. It seems apparent, but what is public art?
Well, the public art, for me, primarily is me imitating authority. I like to trick everybody, And you think, I made the stop sign. He made the stop sign. It's like everyone believes signs, and you do what it says, which I think is really funny, You don't have to do what it says. but you do. And so I pretend to be that person that's making the direction or the demand of you, you know. But I do it usually from a historic perspective of a native kind of disenfranchised or reclamation of native territory. And so when I make my piece, you know, they might think, oh, Mayor Holt might have made that. He might have made that because he made my day. maybe Mayor Holt made that sign out there. Yeah. Maybe he made those 40 signs out there. I don't know. He was making days. He made some signs. So it's that kind of thing where the authority is so mindlessly followed that you can actually slip in there when they're making them all. And in New York City is where I first made my first sign, and they made all the stop signs in New York City, the company. And we just got in their workload and slipped in there, and they made native host signs. They don't care what the sign says. They're just working, you know. So you want to slip in there.
Yeah, that's real trickster there.
Yeah, that's what you got to just slip in there, man. They don't know.
And they're also somewhat official if they just got in there, and that's like the real
they
team.
They make everything, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's very interesting. It's also dependent on space. Space is becoming back as a theme here, but how do you determine where a work is going to be?
Well, that's usually, you know, it's not all guerrilla work. I mean, it's not like without sanction. And so usually, now I have sanction. Well, I'm known so much, you know, and so I get permission. But that permission has a limitation, too, of how many you can have. Where can it be? So that's all, you know, kind of more of the standard kind of boring logistics of what you're allowed to do. Like sometimes people get upset with me and say, oh, you should have done all this. Well, they don't let me do all that. I can't just get an idea and come and make a million signs and put them all over the place. No, they say, here's where they got to be. They got to be so far from the curb or whatever. Or they got to be this color, you know. But what's happening now, though, of course, as you know, they're being collected. So I'm actually receiving commissions to make. We have a wonderful one outside of Pittsburgh. Chris is here. Maybe he's flying back to Pittsburgh, but maybe he's still here. So he's got stuff on his property. He likes it a lot, and he's got 8 panels about tribal history of Pennsylvania that I made for him and his wife and their family there, you know. And so we're making more commissions, being asked to intervene, you know, which is different than intervening. You're kind of being welcomed to intervene, which is kind of interesting. And so, when I want to do that, I like the people. I'll do that, you know. Yeah.
One thing that struck me about all of these works when I first sort of was introduced to them in the 2000s was on the OU campus. And they really struck me. Like the language hit me. It was backwards, saying Sooners backwards, and the host, and the tribal name. And it just, I didn't have words at that point, and I do now. It just was a sense of understanding, just recognition, land recognition, tribal recognition. And it felt like that, because I didn't have words, you were definitely ahead of a curve here. But it's interesting to hear you talking about these things being commissioned, because there's somehow, that seems like the authority somehow maybe is recognizing somehow. That's interesting.
Well, I think you have to, you know, make your own power. I mean, you can't always use the same, you know, rubric. You know, like if you think, well, the galleries don't show my work, I'm too provocative and no one buys it, you know, whining around about stuff. Well, why don't you put it on the street then? Why don't you make an intervention and walk away from it? You know, put it out there, say what you want to say, and don't even get known or make money, but communicate with it, you know, and use a new form. Like find a new form, you know, and that's what we're looking for from young artists, is show us a new form. You know, we've done interventions, we do signs, we do a lot of things, you know, so it's a matter of maybe commandeering a new form.
Yeah, it's interesting you say new form, and we just saw these. I feel like The glasswork, when I saw that, it was suddenly a new form of your work. Did you have to learn something going into glasswork?
Yeah, I did some preliminary work. I did some work in Kansas, but it's hard to get this quality of glass well, people say you can do it in Seattle maybe, but the maestros in Italy, in Murano, I mean, they talk to glass, and it does what they ask, you know. And
That's amazing.
I've been there with them, you know, and they've done it for generations, you know. And I'm with the grandpa, I'm with the grandson, and he's talking to that glass and asking it to do what we want. Well, you got to compromise too. You got to come to the glass and make some changes. But you go to Murano, and everyone should know that. I mean, as a young artist, as an artist, I know when you go to Murano, when you go to Venice, you better go to Murano. I did the Venice Biennale, but kind of who cares? I mean, let's go to Murano. Let's go to Murano and see about getting some glass. And so. After I finished the whole Venice Biennale, I did stuff at the Marco Polo International Airport and the Vaporetto, going through town, the plaza that Napoleon made, all these places. But I was really excited about getting to Murano and hiring a studio with a maestro. And we made these beautiful vases with hand-blown glass in Murano, and I learned how to do that, learned how to finesse all of that, which is really hard to do, but I had to listen to it. And the maestro told me, he said he wanted like $14,000 in traveler's checks. Put them on the table. Then we're going to go to work. Oh, really? And he said, you bring what you want, I'll bring what I want, and we're going to make. No, you don't want what I want. I got nothing, man. I don't know how to do this. He said, well, you bring what you have. I don't have anything. I got the money. That's that. What. And at the end, he was right. That I took what I had, he had what he had, and that's what we made together. And it's that beautiful artistic creation and trust that you have to make good work. And so I'm really proud of that glass, and I want to go back to Murano someday and make some more glass.
And were there 4?
There were 16.
Oh, there's 16. Yeah.
But these are the bodies of Buffalo Bill's warriors that he took to Europe from Pine Ridge, and then he wasn't a very good steward, caretaker, and about 20 died under his care, and there were 3 children. So when I went to Italy, I went there to make a memorial for all the warriors and children that died in Buffalo Bill's Wild West shows. And I made memorials in Venice. They came to Venice to promote their Wild West show in Verona. And there's a very famous picture of them in a gondola. And Sitting Bull's there too. And Buffalo Bill's there. So I researched all that, researched their names, found their graves in a sense, and then I made a whole project about those people to have their bodies repatriated back to Pine Ridge. And earlier 3 were repatriated bodies, not from my effort, but before. And so I just kind of logged in that history that people now know. They're all over in Barcelona and Moscow and London, and we should do something to bring them home. And so the last thing I did was to make glass works with the bodies kind of circling,
Yeah. Again, that's important work. We'll move on to the next slide. That's pretty amazing. The NIF's coming there. You want to talk about this? You probably should.
Well, those are the new basketballs, and we just I made a new basketball for the NIF Autumn series, and they're here now, and we have basketball courts too. They're going to come in May, April, May, but I really like the ball a lot, I'm really proud of the El Reno basketball team, the women's team that won the championship, and I'm proud of the Cheyenne and Arapaho women that play ball, Let's give a hand for the Cheyenne and Arapaho women that play ball. So that's why I make these balls. That's why I make these courts. I hope maybe they'll come and play. Maybe they'll have a 3-on-3 tournament, out here in front of the museum. So it's a res ball, whatever you want, call it whatever you want. But yeah, we like that. We like that. So we're going to make, and we're going to have some fun. So it's not all about doom and gloom, political regression, all that stuff. No, we're going to have some fun, make some beautiful things. Yeah.
Yeah, and what strikes me about that is it's about the life. That's really only working when it's functioning. Like when it's being put up in the hoop and when people are interacting with it, like the action of it. That's really amazing. But this isn't the first, right? The first was blue.
Yeah, the first one was a blue near the ocean in New York, by the river and the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. And I did a blue series, and there was new paintings from Hawaii, and they're still there. If you go to by PS1 is a museum, part of Museum of Modern Art. If you go there and you walk 2 blocks, you'll find my 2 basketball courts. And actually, Sam's here. You can raise your hand, Sam. He painted my courts. He's
amazing work.
Give Sam a hand. Yeah. And he's Common Practice. He works for this very great group that makes courts all over the world. And he's going to paint the ones here for Oklahoma City, too. Yeah. And he and I enjoy going to jazz clubs in New York City. That's what we really do. But, yeah.
That's cool. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, basketball is sort of like jazz a little bit, especially res ball. It's like jazz. Dealing with words the way that you do, I think, is a little jazz-like, especially the rhythm that's happening in some of your work. I kind of want to check on time because I might be going a little bit over. So, but we're going to get to some important things here. So, so the next slide will be what the installation will look like here in the spring. So make sure to come back and grab your ball and bring a friend. Let's go to the next. So this is just a word. There's no other slides after this related to this particular word because it's in the work. And I think part of it is to discover it. But history, how much does the audience need to know about history when confronting these works?
I think that, I feel like I'm going to provide a lot, historical kind of clues and legacies, for folks to enter the work. So I don't think you have to bring a lot of history to the work, but that's why we have benches by the work. So you can sit and read, you can sit and take in the work over time and come back again, and hopefully with some of these things, like most interesting parts of your life, you might go look for yourself later. You might be introduced to some notion and go Google it, as they say. Go get a book about it, go find out about it, and then deepen your understanding yourself, about some of these issues, whether it's the environment or whether it's like, some of the massacres that occurred here, particularly in Oklahoma itself, and, all these things that go on that we need to be more enlightened about, then I think the work is there to spark. And that's why it's abbreviated. It's not a long litany of phrases in a sense. It's like more short bursts of information to kind of maybe inspire you to go to flesh it out, yourself, and that's how I work, is just to kind of do that kind of tactic, and so history is so important, and you need to know where you are, yeah.
Is there any? I mean, you're again repeating the idea that the audience is definitely an interactive part of all of this.
Yeah.
Are there any kinds of histories that you think are histories we need to be aware of that maybe are not always obvious? I don't know if that's like when we're Googling, we can Google anything, but is there?
Well, I think for me, I guess the history is in your own heartbeat, and I wish we could go. I say it jokingly, but I say if it's cold, put on a coat and go outside. Don't stay indoors all the time. Don't stay where the comfortable place is. Or don't go just to the good place. You know, it's like you know, you're living in the planet. You're living with all the different spirits that are here. You know, and it's good to go engage them. Go. Even if it's not so friendly or whatever, but you know, to kind of have that be part of your life. And maybe it might cost you something, but pay it and go see about how you can engage this place, and I think that's what we all owe to ourselves and to our elders, and that's how we, as I said, that's how we got where we are today. Our elders didn't like take the easy way, right? No way, man. They did so much. They sacrificed so much. We couldn't fathom. No one would do that now. But they brought us as far, and particularly Native Indigenous women brought us so far, so hard, and so we owe it to them to carry it on.
Yeah, so that work would be honoring them if we do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go to the next. Yeah, family. Family is a theme in a lot of this. I mean, you have a work that you just talked about that's new, that's called Family. Where do you start with family?
Well, I thought it was great to have my daughter talk tonight. I mean, Desba had some nice words for everybody, what she's working on, and proud of what she had to give to everybody, and just a natural response to participating, to participate together as a family too. I mean, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but the family goes everywhere together, do things together. If you can't take your family, you probably shouldn't go. You should go together and live together, and kind of. And she inspires me. Gives me a lot of boost. Compared to what I got to do all the time. I got a lot of things I got to do. So it's great to have that kind of pick me up too. So anyway, with the family, as we always have. My folks were that way. We did everything together. Went no vacations hardly, but if they did, we'd go together in one car. The old time way. No airplane rides or nothing like that. And just sharing that time, and what I have to say, obviously, is just that your love is where you spend your time, and that's all I can say. If you love what it is, you're going to spend your time. If you don't spend your time, then it don't mean much to you.
Yeah, wise words. It also seems like you're suggesting that a lot of your works are family works, like that they require the family around. Seems like the family is in the works, literally sometimes. Just as a Native person, I just have this sense that family is around anyway, sometimes whether we like it or not. Not just those that are physically here, I'm curious if you think about that, if the family that's not physically here is included. Yeah, that's what was so touching about those songs. And I couldn't talk much more after that. But what they told me, before they sang, and just kind of between me and them, what they said to me. And that's just so, I don't know, just such a heartfelt, simple thing. But that they would always do that. They want to start this as an entrance to go somewhere. And when you fought in a war, maybe you killed people, you hunted, and I don't know if it's called war journey, but it's similar, and you come back home, then they're going to welcome you back, but in a certain way to where you're kind of clean coming back. You left all that badness, if you killed or whatever you did,
You know, they're gonna help you come return. And that's what they sang for us. So that's what we got.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. I didn't say that at the beginning, but that was really important, I think, in this space, especially for this circumstance and where we are now. I'm curious for you, does family include anything besides blood? Does it mean anything besides your direct lineage?
Not really. I mean, I guess it's like it's whatever you have with your own family. Is that going off? Is it?
Yeah. Okay. You're good.
All right.
Okay, let's go to the last slide here. Honor Song is the title of the show. Can you give us a clue as to what this means for you, or something you want them to consider?
Well, I suppose, you know, as in the video says, you know, the show title was selected, and then it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, the exhibit got really huge, and it got so many facets, you know, from the printmaking portfolio, newly made, to 40 tribal pieces out on the campus, you know, 40 feet across circle, to these basketball courts, to over, I think over, to me, they say there's over 100 works, but there's 48 in every print installation, and there's like 6 print installations. There's like probably like 500 works out the door here, you know, so all that started escalating, you know, and as I looked at it, it was more about all the different collaborators, you know, the youth council, the curatorial, you know, even the people that dug the holes to put the poles in the ground, and and I've got to communicate to them how that should be done, you know. We got to cut some short in terms of the size. We have to cut the poles, and so all those kind of nuances, you know, and you have to honor your laborers. You got to be, you know, nice to these people that are working for you, so they do good things for you. You know, they might do extra things for you. So, and I've always believed in that, you know. And then we've got Sam, who's going to come to work here in a month or so to paint those courts, you know, with his crew, with his team. And they got to believe in what this is, you know. And they do, and you know, we're together all over the country, and not because we're working together, but because we relate to each other, and so the honor, I think, is something, you know, you extend, you know, I guess to most people that are participating, and I'm kind of over the thing about my show. I don't know the. The show is the show. I've had a lot of shows, you know.
Right.
I have a whole lot of shows, and this is the most comprehensive show, but I think it's the most complicated show, too. It has so many actors involved with it, and so I want to honor all those actors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Let's honor all of our collaborators. I think there's a slide after this. It's yeah, you've got a video here.
Yeah, let's do the.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 video clips here, but
Yeah, just one little short, the Sly and Family Stone, and we can do that. Maybe we'll wrap up with that. Or
yeah, we can.
can we play that? Thank you.
Yeah, this.
Second sticks?
Sticks. Oh, not
second
this
sticks.
one. Not this one. This is the preview for the.
Mark?
Oh, okay. That's me. We should probably find the Sly and the Family Stone work.
Second sticks?
Yeah, I think it's this one. We were on it. There's 2 pieces. The second piece that we just looked at will be, it's a preview of a work that is an oral history documentary project that will be part of the catalog. So you'll see a preview of that, but here's the Sly and the Family Stone.
Second sticks?
Sticks. No, that's still the
Second sticks.
the oral history project. Kind of
Mark.
talking over myself.
Ready?
All right.
All right. When did you get the impulse to work visually and advocate for Native people?
Well, maybe we'll look at this, and then I'll see if we can find the slide in this family stone. But this work here is, again, like I said, it's going to be a preview of a oral history project that is about the new work family, but there's sort of a context of the rest of the show. So this is a short series of segments related to that work that's larger.
Mark.
Ready?
All right.
All right. When did you get the impulse to work visually and advocate for Native people?
It took a long time. I feel like, painter is always painting. I mean, you stop it and say, that's a painting, and you exhibit it, you might sell it or something. Have it collected. But you're on this path of the visual language that you're creating.
How do you hold the traumatic history and maintain your own mental health?
As an artist of color, you have to really face up to what's happened and what continues to happen.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And they ended up using the airline craft wire on the top.
Okay.
Going to the support beam. And then on the bottom, they used, like the suction cups, glass.
Right.
So we did kind of a digital diagram, and then I came in and wrote each tribe.
And this is the first time we've seen this.
What would be your advice to artists, especially younger artists who want to be more activist or have social ideas about the world and through their art? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, it's very easy in a sense, or direct, is that you deal with your community. So that's up right now at the art museum. I mean, one like it. So this is an older one. This is 2000. So that was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
At OU.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the first that I really saw of yours out
Yeah.
in the world. Yeah.
And we had some of these too, like the art school would have benefit auctions or sales, and no one ever buy these.
Nobody.
Oh no!
Nobody bought them.
No. And they were like so cheap, and almost like giving them away. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
they're $30,000.
You've done everything from billboards to site-specific public art with signage. Your paintings are quite large, and now your monoprints, once they're assembled, will be quite large. Can you talk about size with your work?
Yeah, what scale really helps, and today we're in kind of a peculiar place in that, architecture has become museum language. And so previously, as you know, the museums were homes. Now they build you a place for art. And that's their birthday that year.
The player's birthday?
No, the chief.
The chief's birthday.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work to find that birthday.
yeah.
Do they still have them now? Or
These?
yeah, whoever was playing that game.
I think they gave them some, the kids and stuff. There's some little ones, and that was kind of their keepsake from coming to hang out with us.
Yeah, that's cool. Who won?
I don't know who. The Cheyennes won, of course. Who else would win?
How do you hold the traumatic history and maintain your own mental health?
You know, as an artist of color, you know, you have to really face up to what's happened and what continues to happen.
He's your grandmother, right?
Yeah, it's Lightning Woman made these. My mother, Margaret, Heap of Birds. These are really old.
So, because we're short on time, and we really wanted to get to that video, we unfortunately cannot bring it up. So we apologize for that. But if you want to see more of that, there should be more of that work that will be playing as a part of the catalog. Once the catalog is out, there'll be a QR code. You'll be able to access this particular film. Because we're short on time, I want to make sure that Edgar is able to talk about Sly and the Family Stone because it's an important piece of all this. So what's...
Yeah, it's Thank You, the song, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. And check it out, you know, it's on the internet. And it just says, you know, that says that phrase. And I feel like that's what this exhibit has allowed me to be, is to be myself. You know, and all these complexities and diversity of practice. It's just this one dude doing his thing, you know, in a lot of different ways, and so I'm happy about that, about being allowed to be myself. So thank you, thanks everybody, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. In the words of Sly Stone, thank you. And thank you, everybody.